Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, ma'am?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. You are completing a placement here as part of your personal development in human resource management and have secured a placement at the Chartered Institute of Personal and Development. You will work in the research section, which provides information on the all aspects of the HR, that is the human resource department. During your placement, you will have to develop your understanding of the key people management theories and how these impact individuals and teams. So the scenario is all about that you have been promoted to the HR department and your designated organization is the CIPT. And we have to focus on what? On the key people management theories and what is the impact of these theories on individual as an employees and as a teams. Okay. Moving directly towards task one. What it says, as part of your induction to the placement, your line manager wants to ensure that you have a firm understanding of how structure, culture, and other factors impact on people in the organizations. She also wants you to understand the differences between managing individuals and managing teams and has invited you to a meeting. So the same scenario thing is also introduced to you people in the task one. That is, we are going to discuss about individual as an separate entity and team as a separate entity. So both are going to be discussed differently, but in the perspective of organization. In preparation for this meeting, you have decided to produce a summary report which address each of the topics listed below. Now, these topics are actually the topics which are the learning outcome number one, learning outcome number two, and their assessment criteria. You will be discussing your findings with your manager at the meeting, so everything is going to be formal. Your summary report must include an explanation of how organizational structure impacts on people in the organization. So these things must be clear to you that you have to focus on the command verb first, what it says, then you're going to picture skew your answer according to it. Then all the points which are already mentioned in the indicative content and in the lecture slides, I make the slides according to the indicative content plus extra information. You have to do that same in the assignment as well. And in the end, we are going to focus on the suggested evidence. Apart from this, the structure of the assignment. First, it is always recommended to give an introductory part of the question. Like if I discuss the explanation of how organizational structure impacts on people in organization, what you could do is you can give example and a definition of what an organizational culture is. And then we can move on towards the question that what is the impact on people? And over here, it clearly means that they are talking about the individual. Is this clear? The first part?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. Then it says the analysis of how organizational culture impacts on people in an organization. Now, the first question was about the structure. The second question is about the analysis. The command verb is changed. And now we are going to talk about the culture. Again, you're going to give a definition and then you're going to explain the question what it says about according to the indicative content and suggested evidence. Then it says the analysis of how other organizational factors impact on people in organization. That is, we can say it is kind of ceteris paribus. The other factors, other than the original factors, how they impact the performance of people in the organization. Then in the end, it says the assessment of approaches, that is most probably the theories, the techniques in managing or to managing the performance of individuals. Definitely when we like overpower the performances of individuals, of employees in the organization, there are certain techniques and theories through which we are empowering them. We're going to discuss those. At the meeting, you also discuss some of the differences between managing an individual and managing a team. Following the meeting, your line manager asks you to send her your summary report plus a section which says, explain the steps needed to create and maintain effective teams. So firstly, we are going to be making a report and we're discussing the all parts according to it, one by one. And in the end, separately, it says you're going to explain that how or what are the steps which are required in making an effective team. So we are going to explain that according to the indicative content and suggested evidence. In the extension activities, we have two parts, the merit and the distinction one, mostly from the learning outcome number two. For the merit part, it says you need to add a section which evaluates the external factors which impact on the management of individuals and teams. So it's a question, and we are going to divide in two parts. First, we will be discussing the external factors associated with the individuals and then with the team as an overall. For the distinction part, it says the analysis, the management of the teams and individuals during the strategic organizational change. So the whole question lies between the command verb. We are going to assess that is analyze how the teams and individuals they work while we do the strategic organizational change. So this is the whole scenario. Now I'll be reading this just as evidence to you. The learner should produce a detailed and clearly written summary report. This should be written in a professional style using the wording and the tone appropriate for the learner's line manager. So you have to be way too formal, and we're making a Word document as a report. For the assessment criteria 1.1, 1.2, what they have said us, the learner should demonstrate their understanding of different structures and cultures in organizations and how they impact on people. I'll just shortly brief that the questions are same, only the first part we're discussing the organizational structure and the second we're discussing the culture. There should be in-depth explanation, this was the first command verb, and analysis of the range of different organizational cultures and structures both. So I hope this part is clear to you. Then moving towards 1.3 assessment criteria, it says the learner should analyze, again, they're emphasizing on the command verb, a range of organizational factors, including those relating to the workforce development and organizational employment practices. Now, these are the extra points other than the indicative content. We're going to mention these as well because they have given us a sort of an alert in the suggested evidence. The impact of these policies and procedures should be thoroughly reviewed and interrogated in relation to their impact on people. Because in the organization, we don't deal with one kind of person, there are many kinds of people. So we are going to address the question according to it. Moving towards the learning outcome number two, assessment criteria 2.1, it says the learner should provide a clear assessment of the range of approaches that a management can use to manage individual performance, taking account of the different skills, experience of individual staff, and their approach to task. In the question, not even in the indicative content, they have highlighted that we're going to talk about individual performances, their skills, their experiences, and how we take it as an approach. Because they have highlighted us this in the suggested evidence, we are going to break the answer according to it. Then in 2.2, what it says, we are going to focus on the word explanation of how to create and maintain effective teams. First, we will tell that how we make an effective team and how we maintain it. What is the process of maintaining it, of implementing it? The learner should use correct examples to illustrate points covered in the work. Now, this is not for 2.2. It is for the whole task number one. We are going to demonstrate examples wherever we can fit the examples. And because you're learning, your level is 4, I think. No, you're 5. But again, we are going to give the examples of an SME that is more advisable to you people. Other than that, if you don't find an SME example for the specific topic, then you can move for the multinational. All right? Examples are mandatory. You have to give the examples. Just like I give you examples in the slides, after each and every point, I try to add example in general or sometimes real life examples just to demonstrate the points more effectively. Then we have merit and distinction part. The merit part says evaluation of the external factors needs to be broad and balanced in views on their relative significance of each should be offered. We are going to talk about the importance of the like entity of an individuals in the organization and the teams both. That what is their importance in the organization when we talk about them. And the external factors were the ceteris paribus, the other factors which affect them, affect their working. For the distinction task, it says the learner must demonstrate an understanding of the strategic organizational change. Now you should give an definition plus example in this distinction part first, that what an organizational, strategic organizational change is, with a supporting example. Using examples to support the explanation, the learners also need to provide a clear and detailed analysis of the techniques. So you can even say that even in the distinction part, they have clearly said in the first paragraph, in the first point, you have to tell about the strategic organizational change. Then we are going to come towards the question asked, that is the analysis of the techniques, of the approaches, of the methods which can be used to manage the teams and individuals through change to benefit of the staff and organization. Because why we're changing them, why we're talking about them as in techniques, because we want to benefit the organization. Ultimately it will benefit the employees and the investment holders, the shareholders. Is the suggested evidence and the task clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Rain. For the people management, for the task one, sorry, these are the assessment criterias. All right, you can find in the roadmap. Right underneath, there is the indicative content. These are the points which you are going to mention in the answers. You are going to structure the things according to. For example, if you remember the organizational culture question, it says we're going to discuss about the leadership style, the way we do things, assumptions, behavior, values, codes, and so on. And if you remember, I did explain all these points in the lecture slides as well. So everything is known to you. Now I will be sharing the Word document to you. These are the general guidelines which you have to follow. This was the assignment scenario which we discussed, and I break down this to you people further that what actually the assignment scenario says. For example, it is saying the student has to describe the undertaking of the placement year in the HRM at the Chartered Institute for Personal Development. This is what your placement is all about. Then you are into the research section. We did discuss that as well. This is just for your information because to achieve a good score in the course or in any subject, when we're doing the assignment specifically, we have to relate our questions, our task to the scenario, to the context. That is main thing. When we relate it with the context, with the assignment scenario, then we gain an extra marks because then what is the purpose of giving you a scenario? We have to build a story according to it. This was the question. Task one. These are the command verb. Like what explain means make something clear to someone by describing or revealing relevant information in more detail. We say in general that we have to explain a certain XYZ term, but when it is like commendable on a command verb, we are going to explain it abnormally, like in extra things, adding more and more detail. Analyze. We are going to break the subject or the complex situations into separate parts and examine each part in detail. In your case, the analyze part was in the team and individual questions. We are going to give an example, definition, importance, and then build up the answer. Identify the main issues, that is the problems, and show how the main ideas are related to practice and why they're important. So, in general, we are going to tell about the topic, whatever the topic is, its importance, and what are the issues and solutions to it. And reference to the current research or theory may support the analysis. Obviously, we are taking the data from sort of a research paper or a blog or an article. We are going to refer that as well, just the way we do in bibliography. Then we have the command word evaluate and assess. Evaluate means we're going to discuss about the strengths, weaknesses, arguments for and against, similarities and differences. So strengths and weaknesses are necessary. More appropriate way is you can even give a heading in the question answer that these are the strengths of certain topic and these are the weaknesses of certain topic just to make the presentation more appropriate. Because if you leave everything to the tutor, just writing and jotting down everything in paragraphs, it demonstrates the formal presentation, but it reflects that the student was not kind enough to depict everything in a paragraphs, in headings. So it is advisable to give headings. And assess means use available information, that is the information in the indicative content, and suggested evidence to make a judgment, produce a convincing argument for this judgment. You're going to build a argument. How that whether you are relating to that point in its favor or not. Are the command verb clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Sample for task 1, which includes LO1 and LO2. It is just for your help according to the assessment criteria. In explanation of the organizational structure, you can add hierarchy, communication channels, roles, and responsibilities. It's a very brief um, sample to you, but in reality, we are going to do everything in detail. This is just the breakdown of all the assessment criteria according to the indicative content. To see, yeah, here is the real life example. According to the assessment criteria, I even tried to add that in the Word document just to make things more clear to you. For example, in a real life scenario, for example, in ABC Corporation, the implementation of the comprehensive performance appraisal system has significantly influenced the individual employee performance. Regular and structured reviews, coupled with the goal setting and monitoring, have empowered employees to align their efforts with the organizational objectives. The emphasis on identifying the skill gaps and providing the tailored training programs has resulted in continuous learning opportunities, fostering a culture of professional growth. And the introduction of the recognition and reward program further acknowledges employees' achievements, enhancing motivation and overall job satisfaction. This is the real example how we can include that specific assessment criteria into the answer. If I talk about the explanation of the steps to create and maintain effective teams, the example could be XYZ Solutions. The creation and the maintenance of the effective teams have been integral to the company's success. The organization emphasizes clearly the term and goals the team goals aligned with the overarching objectives, that is, the organizational objectives. The formation of the diverse and complementary teams, considering individual strengths and skills, has fostered a collaborative and innovative culture. Open communication channels and the provision of dedicated resources ensure that teams can operate efficiently. Effective leadership, coupled with the team building activities, contributes to a cohesive working environment. Regular monitoring and evaluation of team performance. Now, these are all the points. And I break down then into an example that how we can do that in reality as well. This holistic approach has not only enhanced team dynamics, but also has positively impacted the organizational success. Then, in the end, I gave the example of the evaluation and the merit and distinction part because they are very important. For the economic condition, what we can do is assess the influence of economic trends on the workforce availability and job market condition. And if I discuss the industry trends, we can talk about the industry specific trends on the skill requirements. What are the skill requirements in the latest industry? Then the organization's responsiveness to the emerging industry challenges in managing individuals and teams. And the other points as well, technological advancement, globalization are very with the globalization, you can discuss the sustainability goals as well. This is the distinction part and its further explanation. That's it. And in the end, always give in conclusion. You have to end each and every assessment criteria with a conclusion. That's it. Any question? And did you understood the task well?